It was a weird moment of growing up. You're getting close to being a teenager. Paul Reubens, Pee-wee Herman, the guy you grew up with, is kind of ostracized from society now. All right, you want to talk about Pee-wee? Pee-wee as himself? You say you just
Yeah,
finished it.
yeah. Pee-wee as himself.
What did you think of the documentary? What's your take?
It
What's
was.
your history with Pee-wee? Like, did you watch Pee-wee's Playhouse and grow up watching that?
I love Pee-wee, dude. Yeah, we was a Pee-wee household, man. Because my mom and dad will watch the Pee-wee's Playhouse when it was the adult version. Like I don't know if it was on HBO or what. If they watched it when it was the original, they may have covered that in the they cover that very first time he does it in the documentary. I know my mom watched it, and also I had episodes of Pee-wee's Playhouse recorded. Pee-wee's Big Adventure was like one of my favorite movies growing up.
Yeah.
Like I had a little bit more knowledge about, like my mom told me, oh yeah, his real name's Paul Reubens. His real name's Paul Rubenfeld. He did things before he was Pee-wee. It's funny because, and they bring it up in the documentary, but Cheech and Chong's next movie, he's in that. And that's like one of the first times he's like using the Pee-wee character. I didn't even realize that until I was older when I was watching that movie and he's in it. It's fucking hilarious. But beyond all that, I was interested as fuck in the documentary and it was a blast to watch it. Really enjoyed the fuck out of it. And it made me feel fucking feeling about just, about all kinds of shit. Like at different levels. Okay, so like at the beginning, the whole avant-garde phase of his life, I had no idea about that, which that's a big thing about, Paul Rubenfeld. He kept everything very closely guarded. He didn't want people, even when people did, and controversies here and there and whatever, I still didn't know any of this shit until watching this about him, because he was able to keep all that under. The best thing about this documentary, and one of my favorite things about certain documentaries, is the amount of archival footage and the foresight that these people had to just, I'm going to take pictures and video of everything I do in my life. And that's what Paul Reubens did. Yeah. And it was beautiful, man. Like I was glad to see shit like that. That's fucking impressive to me. But the whole, like when he was doing the whole avant-garde shit, and, because he fancied himself being a part of the factory and, all that stuff. But, the counterculture, the things like that, and him being more free with his sexuality before you even knew who he was, like that was a big revelation for me. I never heard of people going back into the closet. Is that something, you know what I mean? Like, I'm not saying it doesn't happen, but like, he was very open, and then had to make a decision to go back into the closet because things that happened to him in his life. And I think that's fucking crazy that he had to do that, or felt that he had to do that. Oh, that because we all knew, probably, right? But it wasn't, but nobody cared. That was the one thing, is like everybody in the back of their mind probably assumed, but they didn't care. But then to see that he actually lived a lifestyle close to that, and then had to kind of put all that to the back burner, just to help his career, you can look at that as a bad thing or a good thing. He wanted to keep that shit private in the end because of his relationship with the one gentleman, I can't remember, like, because of how that's what I mean. He had to do it for personal reasons, and that's admirable in a way, but it's also sad in a way. I'm not trying to make everything about this documentary about that, because it's not about all that. But that was just super surprising to me, how he's like dressing like a mermaid that thinks is Cher, because I just was trying to be Cher, he says. Like, that was nuts. But it was like, convince me otherwise, motherfucker. It was like, you wasn't ugly. I'm comfortable with my sexuality, but like, I know, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's what I mean. Like, and then you see that guy, and then he was this serious, emo, almost like we would call him emo, I guess, but he was like beatnik or whatever. counterculture, and then he becomes Pee-wee Herman. That's a big fucking shock, knowing even what you know about the guy, right? Yeah, that was my other note there, was just like how open he was in the beginning with all that. And they, they make a point to bring that up pretty close to the beginning of it. But what was your take on all that? How much was you a fan of Pee-wee and stuff like that growing up?
I was way into Pee-wee's Playhouse, the kids version of it. I grew up on that, watching it on CBS every Saturday morning. I was a huge fan of Pee-wee Herman, and I was a fan of the movie too when it was on TV and stuff. And it's kind of funny because you see how private he is on here, see how much he wanted to keep his privacy, or how much he valued it. But it's like anytime I saw him on something after him as Pee-wee, it's Pee-wee Herman. Like, I never knew him as the actor Paul
Nobody
Reubens,
called him Paul Reubens, yeah.
Yeah, and then you watch Blow, it's like, what's Pee-wee Herman doing in this movie about drugs? Of course, he's all into drugs. And
yeah,
it's kind of like part of growing up, and the whole scandal with him getting caught in the adult theater and stuff, and being made like the butt of jokes after that. I kind of grew up. That's like part of us growing up. We grew up with Pee-wee Herman as kids, and then, like he said, there's a mugshot of him looking like Charles Manson, and he was jerking off in public, and it was a weird moment of growing up. You're getting close to being a teenager. Paul Reubens, Pee-wee Herman, the guy you grew up with, is kind of ostracized from society now, and it was a very strange time that I could remember when that broke out. But with the documentary, I really liked to see where he came from, how he kind of tried to do a little bit of everything in the comedy scene. He joined the Groundlings. He was trying to find something that, he was trying to get on Saturday Night Live, and that didn't work out. And then he started just be Pee-wee Herman. Like, he kept trying, the one Native American character he came up with. He's like, oh, that's
Chief
super fucking
Longtoe.
Racist.
Chief Longtoe, and that's when he's like doing the beginnings of the dance, because he's dancing up on his tippy toes like a ballerina.
Yeah, it's like, oh, good thing that didn't.
And he's like,
off.
I don't know if I could do that shit, man.
But it's just like him just trying everything out to see just what catches on. And he comes with Pee-wee Herman. It's just like a cultural phenomenon. And as somebody who valued their privacy, and like you said, he kind of had to go back in the closet because, this is like during the AIDS epidemic. Gay people were not, they were kind of like the pariahs of society at the time. Yeah. So, and then they definitely don't want gay guys. They don't want their kids watching gay guys on Saturday mornings either. So it's very homophobic time. So I can kind of see why he would want to go back in the closet, as tragic as it is. But he just seemed to value his privacy very much. And I think one of the takeaways I got from this is Paul Reubens at all is that how much of a control freak he is. Like, did you notice him playfully giving the documentary filmmaker a bunch of shit playfully?
That was my favorite part of the whole thing. That literally was my favorite part of the whole thing, because I got to see Paul Reubens for his real comedy. Mm-hmm. He was like Don Rickles almost. He wanted to just fuck with people. But he also, when he's talking about trust later on, is like, do you trust me? He's like, no, I don't fucking trust you. And he talked for 45 minutes. He's like, I don't trust you. But he's like, well, I probably trust you a little bit. He trusts him, but he's not going to, it's Paul. Again, Paul Reubens has had to play cards like this. People don't play cards with their hand out like this. They play it like this if you're doing it right. And he's had to fucking play it like this, because of things that's happened in his life and things like that, and then things still was hard for that guy. It's like, let me ask you this as a side note now, knowing what you know as an adult or whatever, how big of a deal is it that Pee-wee might have jerked off in an adult theater when that's what people do in adult theaters, and he didn't know that it was going to be an off day on a Tuesday, and them fuckers in Florida didn't have anything else to do. Let's go raid a theater where we know we're going to get some cheap, easy busts. Yeah. I don't give a shit. Why? I don't give a fuck about that. And then the other shit with the you know, the artwork and stuff, where, you know, he got like, just because somebody was involved with that Jeremy Jones piece of shit, or Jeffrey Jones, sorry, it's that that low hanging fruit, it seemed like, and he kept getting wrapped up in that. But the positive thing was he still had a movie come out in 2016 that did good by Judd Apatow, and he still was getting his flowers before, you know, he unfortunately died in 2023. So he got kicked down a bunch of times, but he still persevered in the end. But the control freak thing, like, he addresses that at the beginning of the documentary. He's like, we talked about that with the Tom Green doc. Like, you're not supposed to make your own documentary, but it's like, well, but you do want to have a little bit of input, like a little bit, but, you know, skipping way ahead, you know, at the end when you know, it's like, well, he was uncooperative at the end or whatever, but then hearing that last message he gives, where you can tell the guy's not doing well, I got teary-eyed as fuck, dude, during that. That was hard. Because what was his last? I just don't want people thinking I was a pedophile, man. Like, all I ever tried to do was bring happiness to the fucking world. That's all he ever brought to me. I was able to see through the bullshit at that point. It's just sad and then it's always those guys. Oh, the guy this guy's probably fucking gay. He's probably I don't mean to use that word. That's what they would say. Oh, and he works with kids. Let's fuck with him. And then that one DA had a hard on to get him. That new young DA on the second case. That was fucking bullshit. Why are you going after this guy? What the fuck, man? Fucking sad. And I don't want cops for you. I don't want to talk about. I know, and I don't want to talk about like every part of that documentary, like these parts of the documentary. It's just, I know that's going to come out. It's probably better to get that out first of all. But like, you know, the beginnings of him was really fascinating for me. I know we already talked about that, but like, you know, just his avant-garde bullet and all that shit, like all those dude, hell, just all that archival footage. It's got the behind the scenes footage. I didn't realize that Pee-wee's Playhouse, the 88 version, was shot in film, because it's like showing the scenes where they're like doing rehearsal footage. He has like a goatee and glasses on in the rehearsal footage. He like jumps on Cherry and he's like wearing a black shirt. And it's like, that shit looks like it was filmed yesterday, dude. Like, young avant-garde Pee-wee Herman looks like if somebody fixed like Sylvester Stallone's face or something. You know what I mean? He was very handsome in my opinion. Like, you know, and then like, and then he was so easy to be able to chameleonize himself. Like when he wasn't Pee-wee, no one knew who he was, because he would just, his hair would grow long like the peanut butter solution in 45 minutes. Like, and then he would have like the full facial hair and shit. But no, I had the doll. We watched all that shit. Pee-wee's Big I'll tell you this. Here's how much of an impact Pee-wee's Big Adventure has on me. You know how we was talking about, I've been streaming Tony Hawk Pro Skater lately. I have my own playlist that I curated that I think would be the perfect Tony Hawk playlist if there were no boundaries and I didn't have DMCA and all this bullshit. It's like, if I had everybody's permission to use whatever the fuck songs I want, here I'd go. You know what was one song I used? Burn in Hell by Twisted Sister, which is the song that Twisted Sister's playing in the park when he's driving through the fucking Warner Brothers studios at the end of the movie. You're gonna burn in hell. Because I like Twisted Sister, but I was like, I'm gonna use this song because most people won't know what the fuck this is from unless they like Pee-wee Herman. There you go. So, and then plus that was Tim Burton's first movie. Having that as your first movie, and then he's had a big impact on me. And then that's a sad thing too. Like, I can't believe that I haven't watched that 2016 Pee-wee film yet. And Judd Apatow produced that, I guess.
Yeah.
Did you watch it?
I watched it when it released. It's up there with. I mean, I don't think it's as good as, you know, Tim Burton's first one, but it was a very good follow up. It's a good like love letter to Pee-wee fans. So yeah, you definitely need to check it out.
Yeah, I will.
I don't think this was. I thought it was a very honest documentary. I like just showing. It wasn't like a hit piece or anything. It was It
No.
was lovingly curated. If I if I
I
was going
would
to
even
use a
say
term.
that I would even say that Paul was still critical of himself.
Yeah.
He was up front about, like, I'm a control freak. I want to have a little bit of control. But look, I can also at the same time, I read an article and I can't even remember where it was from. It was like that painted this documentary in a bad light because of how Paul was. It was like, look at it from his perspective. This guy tried to get crucified like 3 different times in the span of 10 fucking years. And you guys are, you know, it's like, why wouldn't he be guarded? You guys still hate gay people and people of color, and his fucking first ever like true love was a gay black man. Like, you know what I mean? Like, imagine trying to live that, and then you can't be private when you're in Hollywood. So I have to live through this alter ego because I don't want anyone to know who Paul Reubens is, because then they might find out that I'm gay, and they might find that it didn't matter anyway. They still tried. Like, it's fucking terrible. It's kind of like, it might be controversial, but like Michael Jackson. But
I bring up the control freak part because I don't think it all just stems from the theater thing, because he was friends with Phil Hartman, and they kind of split up.
Mm-hmm.
And then he
Right.
kind of had like a thing against Tim Burton, it seemed, from the success of Pee-wee's Big Adventure, because he wasn't seen as like being part of it. It was like Tim Burton's film. So I feel like that's just part of his personality. And then it's just and that is a thing with like creatives, like especially ones who become pretty big, is that they need that control. I think that's probably maybe a flaw in his personality, but I liked how raw it was, and especially showing, like, you said it was your favorite part, but I feel like there's a part of truth to it where he's like kind of poking at the what's his name, something
Matt
Wolf,
Hill
yeah,
Matt Wolf. Matt Wolf, that was it.
Matt Wolf, yeah, and especially when he's like, he wasn't taking part in the documentary anymore. It's like I could tell like he was kind of twitching a little bit sometimes. Like, he was saying it jokingly, but he was very serious about it too. So I found that pretty fascinating.
Yeah.
Like, seeing the actual Paul Reubens. Like, I've only seen him as Pee-wee, or him acting in a different role. Like, I would follow Pee-wee on Facebook, and it would just be a bunch of goofy shit. This is the first time I actually saw Paul Reubens.
In interviews, like, could I be there, and like when you've done your thing, like or every other question, I could like ask a question?
I think you already know the answers.
Well,
I think
and
it's
that's where I'd kind of agree with you. Like, Paul, you kind of did that to yourself. You said you wanted to hide behind Pee-wee. You didn't credit yourself. You should have. You should have credited Pee-wee, and you should have been Pee-wee Herman. Paul. It should have been top billing Pee-wee Herman, played by Paul Reubens. Then everyone would know with that writing credit. You would have got the recognition there. You did that to yourself. So you kind of, like, you know, if you want that recognition, you need to come to grips with things. You know, that's kind of how I see that. That would be the one thing where I would see his flaw. Like, I didn't agree with him there. Like, you kind of set yourself up there for that shit. But hey, but yeah, I mean, I honestly, I just think in that regard, he kind of set himself up for that failure. If you're not going to properly credit yourself, because he said, I had to hide behind Pee-wee Herman. I didn't want there to be a Paul Reubens. Okay. Well, then you can't be salty that Paul Reubens didn't get no credit because you didn't want no credit. That's kind of the way I see that.
Yeah, he was just trying to become Pee-wee, but, you know, and that's, you know, another way he was trying to keep his privacy. So, and that kind of blew up in his face with the arrest and everything. But yeah, it was nice to see like interviews with Tim Burton, Laurence Fishburne. Yeah,
they had everybody. Fuck.
It was funny that Laurence Fishburne, he saw him live and is like, I don't get it, and then he ends up being Cowboy Curtis in Pee-wee's Playhouse.
When I first saw Paul as Pee-wee, it was probably like 1980, 81 at the Groundling Theater, and I didn't get it. I was like, who is this little man in this bow tie, and why is he throwing Tootsie Pops and Tootsie Rolls at people?
You have any other takeaways from this?
Not really. Like, I actually enjoyed this documentary, and I didn't see it to be, I thought it was pretty honest. Like, I didn't get it as much to be like a fluff piece or anything. Honestly, Paul Reubens was dead, so he didn't get final say on the cut or whatever, but he did record that final message, and I think that was enough for me. And he did give permission for the movie to happen before he died, apparently. So this would be one I would probably watch again because it was pretty good. And seeing that all his shit is on Max, I'm probably gonna go watch Pee-wee's Big Adventure again because it's been a long fucking time since I've seen that movie. I fucking love that movie, dude. God damn, that movie's so good. Like, it's so fucking fever dreamish and dumb, and it was so fucking funny. And hell, there's probably shit in that movie that I didn't understand from when I watched it that when I watch it now, it'll be funnier. So I'm looking forward to that. And then, yeah, it's got like I think all 5 seasons of his TV shows on there. I don't know that I'll watch much of that, but I'll probably watch a couple episodes just for some nostalgia.
I did watch it with my kids when they were younger, like around, between like 3 and 5. I had like the whole DVD set, and there are a lot of adult jokes in it that I did not realize.
Yeah.
So
yeah, he said he even had like some gay subtext in there and shit, which is like, okay, fine, whatever, you know.
Yeah, and then he was all about having diversity on it too. And then, you know, now people would be like, woke. So
yeah.
It was nice. He just seemed like a really good guy, even though he had that control freak part of him, like, it kind of alienated him a bit. And he did still seem a bit guarded in his interviews a lot. And he was kind of interjecting humor, but he just completely vulnerable in that last recording he did. That was just kind of heartbreaking in a way. And damn, like, it's kind of like Pee-wee's Playhouse is kind of like Mr. Rogers, and it's meeting Andy Kaufman in a way. That really shaped like our generation's humor in a bit, with like the absurdity of it. It's kind of like almost Lynchian too in a way. And it's like I grew up watching Pee-wee's Playhouse, and then I got older and watched Conan O'Brien, the early Conan O'Brien, and then you go on to Mr. Show, and then a great job with who are the fuck?
Tim and Eric, awesome show.
Tim
great
and Eric,
job.
Tim and Eric, awesome show.
And like
job.
Wonder shows in, and then I Think You Should Leave, and fuck yeah. Everything has its roots.
Yeah, and I really liked it too. But what if you were to give it a score out of 5 stars? What would you give it?
Probably give it a 4, honestly. God damn, like the presentation was phenomenal. I cannot believe how clean the fucking old media was.
Oh, yeah.
All his old pictures, all his old high 8 and Super 8 video and all that shit. God damn.
It looked like he kept all that
man.
stuff,
so,
like everything from his career, like from the beginning.
Well, that's what he said, and he did. But then they still had to clean some of that shit up.
Yeah.
You know that, and it fucking paid off because, god damn, you couldn't even some of that shit. You know, you could tell it was like 1986, but that shit could have been filmed yesterday. Man, it was really clean, and I think that was good. Like I said, I liked that it was a little bit of raw and a little bit of emotionality. You know, I liked how he was kind of fucking with the guy, and he was keeping his cards as much as he could. But maybe I wish we would have got the rest of how it would have been the regular interview. But it's like, that's another thing too. He didn't tell many people that he was privately battling cancer, so.
Yeah, that's
if you want to get your story told and you want to do some shit, stop fucking around. Just tell your story, you know, because you may not get other chances, you know.
Yeah, I think I'd go 4.5. Like, this is like the most intimate I've seen Paul Reubens, you know, and the most vulnerable. So
I'll tell you what, I'll match you. I'll give you 4.5.
I mean, anytime I see a documentary and it's like HBO documentary, I know it's going to be just fucking quality, because they make some of the best documentaries, and this is just proof of that. And it makes me really want to revisit that. It just made me like sad. I mean, that's like our childhood, really, like my
I
childhood,
know.
yours, and just seeing like, you know, I was like I was super sad when I saw that he just died, and I was like, fuck.
I know.
And yeah,
Yeah,
it's like
because
really
he was having another media resurgence right before he passed.
Yeah, he had like an HBO special, the Pee-wee's Playhouse special in 2011, and then he had that 2016 Netflix movie with Judd Apatow, and yeah, man, I wish I got to see him if he was though, but
No shit.
this is like an incredible documentary and just something from our childhood that, and just the
God, fuck. You just made me realize, man, like, he was a live acting. At some point in our lives, we could have got to see him, and now we can't. Fuck.
Yeah.
That's
yeah,
pretty heavy. God damn.
Yeah, I
Never
want to
thought
scream
about
with
that
him.
till right now.
Yeah, I want to scream with him when he says the
No
magic
shit.
word.
Fun. Whatever the magic word is. Yeah. God damn.
I'll probably watch the documentary again sometime. I'll probably rewatch a lot of his specials, like the 1981 specials on HBO Max, the
Oh, yeah.
2011 one. Both movies. I don't know if I'll watch Big Top Pee-wee again. It was kind of funny. Where
Big Top really wasn't that good.
yeah, and it just seeing
that
his
25-minute kiss scene. Yeah, it's weird.
yeah, and he had Final Cut, right? And he just kept it in, and yeah, that's where
No,
his control
I don't
freak
think
kinda,
I don't think that cut is in the movie. I don't think.
You
I
don't?
think
Okay.
that, and I don't remember it, but I think that he said in the end he finally relinquished and cut it.
Well, I think I
mean,
remember
yeah.
seeing that movie in the theater and not really giving a shit as a kid because I just didn't get it. But I did love Pee-wee's Playhouse. I loved the first movie, but yeah, it just didn't grip me. But yeah, you know, R.I.P. Paul Reubens and R.I.P. Pee-wee.
Yeah.
Always live in our hearts.
Shut up, Pee-wee.
Why don't you make me?
Why don't you make me? Because I don't make monkeys. I just trade them.
Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the video, give it a thumbs up, leave a comment, and subscribe. Don't forget to hit the bell so you never miss an update. If you want to support the channel and get exclusive content, check out our Patreon in the link below.